I thought I'd do a short educational style video, price action and the psychology of technical analysis. So what we're looking at here is the price of a cryptocurrency called Gala versus the US dollar. In particular, is against a crypto stablecoin called USDT, so basically US dollar. And you can see here I've drawn two lines. So we've got a candle chart. Let's give you some of the basics here. So at the top we've got a candle chart. A green candle shows that we're on the hourly time frame here, on the hour, at the start of the hour towards the end of the hour. If it's a green candle, it means it finished positive overall in the 1 hour. When you have stems at the top, it means it went up higher but came back a little bit. So the top of the candle on the green candle is where the price finished at the end of the hour. Bottom of the candle in the green bar is where it started on the hour, and so on. So what we can see here, now we have a really difficult chart because Gala is going absolutely mental at the moment, but mental is a good word for it because we're talking psychology. The only reason a price on any asset, be it an equity market, so share prices, on cryptocurrency or currency markets, is that it's a battle between people thinking the price is undervalued versus people who think it's overvalued. So you've got people selling, people buying. Now the speculation on Gala has been huge since this time here. In the lower section here we've got the volume. So normally the hourly volume is very low here, then it exploded at this point. Let's just move the chart along actually, and we can see, so the volume exploded right on the right hand side here to 318 million Gala token being traded there. That may even be 380 million US dollars. It doesn't matter. This is a volume chart, and all you need to know is that the volume has increased massively, and that led to a big increase in the price of Gala. Now you could argue that that would have been because we had this point of resistance coming across the top here. Let's make this line a bit thicker so you can see it. So we had this point of resistance, so the price would bounce up, then we get the sellers would win, and it would go back down again, then it would try it again, and the sellers would come back in and go back down, and the buyers come back in, and so on. And so you've got this price, this resistance point, where people who came in earlier at lower prices said, no, I'm selling there, and the sellers were beating the buyers. So it's purely psychological. A fundamental analysis would show there's more to it further down the line, but just looking at the trading analysis, TA, technical analysis of psychology. Now, prior to that, you had this really massive downturn, which went from 42, I just put it into round figures, 42 down to 32. So it lost almost 25% of the value in 1 hour. So it shows how speculative this is, and you can see the volumes again here below the chart were similar to the volumes of the pushing up. But within an hour it fell a huge amount of weight, but within 3 hours, 4 hours of that, it had regained over 50% of that. So there was clearly some buyers here who thought, no, this is crazy. They've been waiting, wanting to get in on Gala, and they used that as an opportunity, and the price went straight back up there. So let's move the chart along again a little bit. So what we're looking at now, let me just select these and make these lines a bit thicker again, because what we have here, for me, I'm no expert, but this bit I do understand in terms of psychology, trading psychology. Let's try and expand this out a little bit. We can't do it very easily because the chart's there. But anyway, you can see this is what's called a rising wedge. So again, we have that same sort of base. Let's put it on a 15-minute chart actually, see if the line is on there. It is. Okay. So it makes a bit more sense on a 15-minute chart. So again, we're back in the point. We've had a higher volumes, the highest volume we've had for quite some time. So something is happening price-wise, and it's gone above this previous high point here, and that's where you get an interesting, we've moved to a new price range. So the sellers that were here brought it back down a bit, but then the buyers came back in, and these are people who are saying, well, this is going up, I need to get in. So there's fresh money coming in, and it pushed it up. However, the sellers came in here, drops back down to the lower blue line. You've got this, it's called a rising wedge, because what's going to happen here psychologically is it goes up, the sellers come in, it goes back down, but it doesn't go back down as far as it previously went. It comes down a lesser distance, because at that point, those who missed out, the buyers step back in and push the price back up. But there is some big resistance here again, and so it hits this higher limit and it goes back down again, but it doesn't go back down as far as the previous one. So you've actually got three low points. You've got a low point here, you've got a low point here, and a low point here, and each time this is a rising low point. So it's higher lows all the time, and this was forming for me, a classic rising wedge. These don't happen, you know, when you're watching them. If you happen to stumble across one at the time, then for me it's a good, very strong signal that the sellers have backed off at that point. And so I was buying back in here at 70. What price did I go? Let's have a look. Let's just go back on my chart. So I was buying at 76, 73 and 76. So 73, just about this point here, 76, a bit higher, because the confirmation at 76, it had broken through this resistance point here, but I knew at the 73, and essentially I couldn't get the 76 in because I needed to switch some other currency to get into it. But to me here, at this particular point, which was just over an hour ago, I thought, yep, that looks like that's pushing through on the rising red wedge. And sure enough it has, and it's shot up from there. So it's gone from 73 now to 84. So around about a 15% rise since then, but it did get to 887. And again, where could this go long term? If you're interested in Gala, for instance, and just have a look at this as well. We've got record volume here on the volume charts. Let's look back on an hourly chart, and you can see that fairly clear that in this particular hour, which we are currently, we're only 13 minutes through the current hour, so this could be another high volume. And people are buying this purely because they feel like they're missing out. And I know that feeling. You probably know that feeling if you've been trading before. You think, you keep waiting, and when do you go in? And finding an entry is just as difficult as finding an exit. It's not easy. Psychologically, it's a very tough game to play. Probably shouldn't even use it, call it the word game. It's utterly fascinating from a psychological perspective as to the price action. So at the moment, I'm still very bullish on Gala. Let's go and have a look at Gala Coin. So here we go. This is the daily chart. If we have a look at the 7-day chart, you know, you've got to be brave to come in here. I was selling at 55 and I've come back in at 77, 76. And again, you've got to be brave to make a decision once you've come out, because I made some very good profits up to the 55 here. And then decided that was too high a gain in such a short period of time. I couldn't see that going further, and sure enough it did. And looking at it and looking at the psychology of it, that rising wedge there, and there's just not so many sellers out there at the moment. But in 7 days we're up 89%. The markets have gone absolutely crazy. However, if you look at the all-time market for Gala Games, there will be people looking back here when it was 8.5 cents last time, and we're currently at 8.5 now. Within a matter of days it went up to 75, so it was a 10-fold increase. So we've got a track record there that Gala has done that in the past. That was 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, 2 and a bit years ago, but it's done that. And yes, it came crashing back down, but again, you've got Bitcoin has just gone through all-time highs. Let's have a look at the Bitcoin chart. Things are going crazy. Warren Buffett has called it a casino-like market at the moment, which I'd probably agree with. However, it's almost, there you go, we've got the same with Bitcoin here. You have various highs, you get a big peak, it drops down, big peak, drops down, big peak, drops down, big peak, drops down, and we are now into new territory. And that always generates a whole bunch of news because it's an all-time high. It's fairly irrelevant. What does it matter that it's an all-time high? But it drives news, and news drives demand, and demand puts in that expectation. So yeah, interesting markets. Hopefully that you found that useful. Essentially talking about rising wedges on pricing and the psychology of that. So I hope you enjoyed that. Do subscribe to the channel if you'd like more information like that, and click thumbs up and let me know your comments. Thanks for watching.